On to the ACC. So let's go into our sleepers here, Matt.
There's actually a few sleepers in ACC that I considered. Um, I did consider SMU. Virginia Tech could be a sleeper, but I mean they're sixth, so it's not really that much of a sleeper. I considered Syracuse. I really like their program, but for me, it comes down to the play of Malik Murphy. I think he's going to have a blue devilish season, and I think he's I think he's feeling left out from Texas. And I think he wants to prove himself. And I think despite the quote unquote lack of talent there, I think he's going to be able to get them into a position, maybe not to necessarily get into the championship game, but definitely to turn some heads and raise some eyebrows.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, it felt like Duke would have gotten rated when Elko went to Texas A&M. It was they lost a few players to the portal, but they really kept more than you would think. So they have a decent base of people around Murphy for him to work around. So I could see them as a potential sleeper. But my sleeper is going to be the Cal Golden Bears. This year their schedule gets actually easier because last year the Pac-12 was absolutely loaded. The main thing is Cal just needs to keep their offense going. They lost their offensive coordinator, but
The
I
main
think
thing is they need to sign up for frequent flyer miles.
I know they are traveling more than just about anyone this year.
Outside of Hawaii.
Yes.
Because that's not fair.
But I like what they got at quarterback. Jaden Ott is one of the best running backs in college football, so like he's going to be really electric again. Cal brought in some good receivers from the portal as well. The main thing that this sleeper pick hinges on is can they get back to playing good defense again? Because they took a full 180 last year. Like before last year, they had spent several years being bad at offense but good at defense. And then last year, their offense suddenly became good, and then their defense sucked. So they need to turn around on the defensive side of the ball. So some other sleepers here we considered. Matt, I know you mentioned a few already. Georgia Tech was another one. I like what Georgia Tech has going and what their roster has. In the end, their schedule is just too tough for me to pick them. They play just about everyone that's good in the ACC. So and their non-conference includes games against Georgia and Notre Dame. So their schedule is pretty brutal. So I see Georgia Tech as more of like a team that's going to be chaos. Like they're going to ruin someone's season. And that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. I think it's really funny that some people put Stanford Cardinal and other people put Stanford the Cardinal.
I know, right? I feel bad for them. No one is considering them at all.
No. I mean, they kind of suck. Not gonna lie. But I did consider Syracuse because I don't have a whole lot of faith in McCord, but I think now that he's out of Ohio State and doesn't have the spotlight necessarily on him, I think that he can play a little bit better. And even if he plays like he did last year for Ohio State, but this time at Syracuse, I think he can end up doing a decent amount for Syracuse. And they have Georgia's former defensive coordinator. I forget his name. Justin, help me.
Wait. Oh, no. He wasn't the defensive coordinator. Their head coach, Fran Brown, was their defensive backs coach.
Defensive backs coach. I knew it was on the defense.
Yeah.
But
he's close.
A really good recruiter, and he's starting to like take what Dino Babers was doing there and just taking it to a new level.
Yeah. You know what else is funny, though? Virginia Tech's one of the leading teams in returning production. The other two top teams in the ACC in returning production are at the bottom of the standings, Virginia and Stanford. They actually have a lot of guys back.
Well, too bad they're not voted very well. So,
time for our closing statement here in the ACC. The last thing that we need to talk about, because
did we go
honestly,
over
like,
bus?
oh no, we need actually, yeah, you're right. We need to go over bus.
We can
Okay,
touch on
last
that
thing in the
quickly.
sleeper section, we need to talk about Pitt running the air raid.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun to watch.
It's kind of hilarious because, like, for a long time, Pat Narduzzi just wanted them to run the ball, conservative offense, protect the defense, and then they were bad last year. So then he was like, okay, I guess we need to change it up, and then just went full air raid. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. Moving on to busts, I have Florida State. I do like Florida State, but they lost way too much talent for me to be able to say they're going to be number one in this division or in this conference. Like lost their quarterback, they lost both receivers, they lost defensive ends. They like anywhere you look, they lost talent. Apparently there was a guy who transferred out and his agent, um, I guess, impersonated him and transferred him out. I
Oh,
saw, yeah, I saw that on Twitter, and I don't remember the name, and I don't remember where I thought it was like Arkansas or something. But yeah, he had said that his agent, his parents hired an agent, and he transferred him out.
dang,
Yeah.
that's wild.
So
What are
not
your
because
thoughts
of that
on?
guy. I don't think he was terribly great, but I do think that the lack of or the talent factor of all those players leaving, it's huge.
What do you think DJ Uyunglele is going to do for them this year?
I lost faith in him after his second season in Clemson.
Yeah,
He didn't really do much to impress me at Oregon State last year, and then going to Florida State. Maybe that's a place that he could turn it around, but I don't know. At this point, it feels like a little cheap shot because he's like what 25.
yeah, something like that.
Like
Yeah,
dude,
I
just
just,
go to the XFL,
yeah, like I don't know.
USFL, whatever it's called now.
He
UFL,
showed some potential in that 2020 season, but it just has not been there ever since.
pretty much just against Notre Dame.
Yeah, yeah, for the most part. Like it was just that game, and they didn't even win that game.
Yeah,
But yeah, like it hasn't, like and he improved to being decent, but I just don't know if he can lift Florida State to a championship caliber.
nope.
That being said, that's not my bus. My bus pick is once again the Miami, Florida Hurricanes. Um, we're at it again with this team, and like we're throwing them up there in the preseason polls. Hyping them up again in preseason. This is a constant routine. Um, that being said, there's no more excuses for Mario Cristobal. Like there is no reason they should be a bust, but they're going to be anyways. Cam
Cristobal is on
Ward,
my hot seat. I think he's on everyone's hot seat at this point. Like, if he can't win this season, they're gonna have to look at a change in coaching, unless he
it's gonna
Scott
be
Satterfield's his way into keeping his job and gets like a good enough class to not get fired, but then like does decent enough to not get fired, but bad enough to not really compete.
But yeah, I think they never seem to pull it together. I don't know if it's coaching or what, but like Cam Ward was an exciting transfer in, and I hope for the sake for Cam Ward's career that I'm wrong. But Miami has just destroyed quarterbacks. They have ruined quarterbacks. Like
Ruined.
De'Aaron King ruined. Yes. Like they brought in De'Aaron King. He was really exciting. And then, just didn't have a good run in Miami at all. Then, Tyler Van Dyke comes out of nowhere, excites for a few games, and then he falls apart like And they've had that routine too, where like guys like will show up, they'll have like a few good games to end the season, and then next season they're just not the same anymore and they struggle. Like it's just a constant routine of Miami quarterbacks. And then, the situational collapses. It wasn't just not taking a knee against Georgia Tech. It was the fact that Georgia Tech had passed for like 75 yards all game. And all they needed to do after fumbling to still win the game was keep them from doubling that pass yardage. And they gave it up anyways in 2 plays.
So if you are still watching after Justin's word vomit, we are still talking about the Miami Hurricanes. I fell asleep there for a moment. Yeah.
Hey, this is the analysis people come for.
The one thing I do want to say before we get into the conference championship is Louisville. I'm actually excited to watch them this year. We are 98% chance of us going to the Jacksonville State Louisville game and as an Updog trip, and I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I am too. Like that's gonna be a really fun game between, we'll talk about Jacksonville State in the next episode, but 2 teams that are looking pretty strong this year. And honestly, Louisville went to the ACC championship last year. I'm surprised there's not more talk about that.
Right. But on to the conference championship. Neither of us have them in there. So Justin may be surprised all he wants, but they're not there. I think Clemson, because they have low expectations, I think they're going to be one of those years that they perform. I have them beating Syracuse. I'm on the Syracuse hype train. I don't know how to get off.
But
Matt, I do like Clemson.
They're not your sleeper team.
They're not my sleeper team. I'm on the Malik Murphy hype train for that one. But I do think that it's going to literally come down to Duke and Syracuse. And I think Syracuse ends up beating Duke to get into the conference championship. So yes, you did point out a flaw in my picking, but as I have half the conference as sleeper options. So shut up, Justin.
I'm just getting to it before the YouTube comment section does, because someone's gonna jump in there.
Yeah, if you're on my side, or you just want to hear him shut up, just say "Shut up, Justin." I want to see who gets more comments.
We shall see. I'm gonna go. I got Clemson over Florida State. Other than the random Pitt 2021 year, the conference champ in this conference has been Clemson or Florida State. So don't go looking anywhere else for a conference champ. It's going to probably be one of these two. I'm going Clemson as well. I think the defense will be strong. I think another year under Garrett Riley as the offensive coordinator will help them. Phil Maffa also really emerged as their top running back late in the year. And that enlivened them, as well as Tyler from Spartanburg. I wonder, do you think the Tyler from Spartanburg boost lasts into the new season, or does he need a new rant? That's the only question.
New rant.
New rant?
New year, new rant.
Okay. All right. So maybe he needs to call into the show before the season starts for this to happen. Or maybe they lose an early conference game and then he calls in and then they play Georgia week 1. He'll be calling in that game. That's gonna I like Clemson, but I'm sorry, but Georgia is just a wagon. I don't know how the game's gonna go for them.
Yeah.